Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Capricorn December 2022 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant, and I've had the great pleasure of doing a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for Capricorns over FaceTime and Skype from different parts of the world over the course of the last month. And if you might be curious to see what's involved or just want to find out some good information, just go to the description below and check out the website in particular. Now, we're going to take 5 cards for you. This deck is called the Thoth deck. You definitely would have heard of it. You probably don't see it used very often. The reason being is that I think most readers are intimidated by it. And they're intimidated by it because it actually contains a lot of, there is the 2 of discs, a lot of what I would call occult information. Occult in the sense of hidden, not in the sense of black magic. There is the Magus, although he does have a lot of magic associated with him, and you'll be able to do things here. The imagery tells you a lot about what is going to be happening, it seems to me, but of course it depends on how the cards are interacting with each other and where they're placed in your spread. But there are some planetary notations on here as well, which by and large I agree with. There's the 7 of Wands. And if I don't agree with it, I'll tell you at the time. Now, because the astrology depends, well, you can read astrology from the point of view of where is the card lying, or in this case, you can read the astrology that's been put there by the artist, whose name was Lady Frida Harris, an Englishwoman who painted this deck and all of its esoteric and occult imagery in the 1900s, and it's stood the test of time, hasn't it? There's the 2 of Swords, so it has, as I say, stood the test of time, and there is the 7 of Swords. The only thing I don't agree with is the titles. I think titles on cards are very often misleading, as I will mention to you in just a second. But why don't you come now, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good, close look at the great symbology and imagery on these cards together while I do the reading for you. All right, let's have a look at this energy which is on the way out. Now, I think what's going to be happening here is that you feel a little bit downhearted, I think, at the beginning of or around at some point in the month here. You then step back and see your situation. You dig deep. You understand that change is coming about and the change is going to be very successful for you. So let's look first at this card of the 7 of Swords, as it is. Now, it's called futility. I have a real problem with developers putting names on cards because they very rarely ever mean anything. But let's have a look first. The developer has said that this is the moon in Aquarius. Well, I do agree with that. And there's the number 7 here as well. Now, for me, mystically, I have associated with the number 7 the planet of Venus, and also with the concept of victory and love. But Venus can sometimes be very feminine and sometimes be very passive, and it is so in this card here. So we have the emotions of the moon and the passivity of Venus, which are clouding the intellectual qualities of Aquarius. Aquarius is thus weakened, giving you a lack of clarity on life, I think, at one point here. Let's see what we can get from the symbology of the swords themselves. Well, first of all, there is this central sword which runs the whole way up there, and that is knowing what you want. It has the sun on its hilt, and so this sword represents your center. Now, astrologically, the sun is in its fall in Aquarius, which may give you some feeling of weakness at some point. Now, let's look at the surrounding swords here. The surrounding swords have various they're the reasons that you're telling yourself as to why you can't have what you want or you can't do something. They're things that you're talking about. They're thoughts that are going on in your mind. Now, the hilts of these smaller swords also have planetary symbols on them. And in this card, we'll have to have a look at them to see what is going on. Now, first of all, here we have the hilt and the sign of Mercury, where you might say that, oh, I can't do something because I'm not going to be able to communicate properly with something. We have Mars over here, which says, oh, I'm not going to have the energy to do it. I'm not going to be able to get around any obstacles. Over here is Jupiter, which says, oh, luck and life is not on my side, and there is a lot of negative self-talk. You're not in touch with your higher self. Then we have Venus, that's there, and saying, look, I really don't love myself enough, or I'm feeling unloved. We have here Saturn, and that talks of rigid thinking, about you lacking of flexibility or persistence to get around a problem. And the moon over here. Now, why do I say it's the moon? Because there are rings forming lunar crescents. And this is saying that you really should follow your instinct. Now, the background is a pale blue, cold looking, and not being able to let the warmth and strength of your personality shine through. The chaotic lines in the background, well, they speak to me of something of a muddled thought, a lack of clear focus to go forward. Now, stepping back from it, though, we can see that there is the large sword of clarity being attacked and injured by 6 smaller swords, and it loses its energy and endurance. The smaller swords, all of which bear those planetary symbols, they represent pessimistic thoughts which are preventing you having the idea that you can have clear success. Now, the conscious and the unconscious, the sun and the moon at either end, they're telling you that there is harmony within you, and that your gloomy subconscious, that's the moon, expectations are muddying your insight. Maybe there's a heavy anxiety that prevails, although in reality, the reality is that everything is going perfectly well. The thing is, you see, that your fears have nothing to do with reality. So wake up and see what is really happening. In what areas of your life do you diminish yourself with your own limited ideas? What are your constrictive belief systems? How will your life look when you drop your doubts? I know it's going to go really well. And say this to yourself: I master all the skills and means needed to achieve that which I long for most deeply. And in fact, that's even indicated in the card in your spread here of the Magician. So let's have a quick look and see what the Two of Swords has to say, because I think you'll be taking some time out from those negative thoughts. Perish the thought that you, of all people, should have some negative thoughts going on in your dear mind. Let me see here. Well, with the Two of Swords, the swords cross in the center, don't they? Can you see that? And the center is a blue rose. Now, the glyph of the moon, which is up here, is balanced on a dagger, and it's the moon in Libra, and the sign, the glyph for Libra, is also balanced on and supported by another dagger. So this is Libra ruled by the moon in this card. And you know that this is really quite a good combination. Your moon sign describes your instinctive or emotional energies. Now, with the moon in the sign of Libra, you are likely to have a deep need for peace and harmony in your life. Libra is symbolized by the scales relating to any area of life requiring balance. Now, this needs extends from your personal environment and outward to your working life and the relationship that you have with others. Do you know, the purpose of this card, I think, is actually that of neutrality, being neither good nor bad, and so you have the quality of balance coming through here. Now let's have a look at some of the symbology that's here again, and look at the hilts of the swords, shall we? Now, on the guard of each sword, there is, in the middle of it, a dove, and on the edges there, 2 kneeling angels, kneeling in prayer, which is a symbol of peace. This pinwheel thing in the background that talks about the constant activity of air or the mind. So despite relative peace of the card, this is probably only a temporary stay from what is in the background. Now, this blue rose emits white rays which form the geometric pattern in the background. And this rose here has 5 petals, and it has also an association there with the planet of Venus as well with me, and also with that of Jupiter, which brings great expansion. So to recap, the 2 swords, symbols of peace, are crossed, piercing the blue-white rose, readiness for love and realization instead of struggle, deep spiritual peace, which is symbolized by the yellow color that's there. That combines with the energies of reorganization, which is the green. Now, this is a situation through which situations can be clarified and decisions made intuitively for the better. Inspiration and ideas which come to you now are definitely worth paying attention to. Remember them, because in order to be able to orient yourself by them in times of doubt and confusion, they will stand by you. Now, the propeller forms radiating from the rose relate to the airy qualities of the card, and Libra, of course, is an air sign, and they show that freshness and movement are bound together with true peace. Do you know, inner peace is a special gift. Protect it, but never try to cling to it. What areas of your life are especially important to you? You can now come calmly to the necessary decisions, nothing to worry about. Take the time for deep relaxation. You are in a good position to examine your past, present, and future and do something about it. Write down your insights, because they will show you the course of action that needs to be taken, and know that a deep peace is going to fill your heart. And that plan of action is something which I think you do put into place, and you dig deep into it here. Because let's have a look at this card, and this is, astrologically, as you can see from these glyphs, Mars ruling Leo. Well, the male warlike power of Mars combined with the daring of the lion produces for you incredible force and impact. The fight will be carried out impeccably. This is bringing you courage, daring, impact, the ability to take risks, pushing through obstacles. The violet in the background has become darker, really, hasn't it? And it's now the color of the warrior who strikes without wavering and is satisfied only with a decisive victory. Now, the 6 wands that are in the background here, they bear the Tibetan symbols for energy. Well, there's a caduceus here, this head and these things here. This color here, blue, again has an association with, the red at the bottom has the association with Mars, and the blue has the association, for me, both with Venus and with Jupiter again. Now, they serve the powerful staff in the center, and their energies are united and directed towards your goal. The 7 of Wands expresses an intensification of the conditions represented by these 2 previous cards here, I think. It has the valor, the courage expressed here is an outgrowth of your personal experience. It has arisen through your ability to learn from past experience. If you apply these lessons, you will be able to take further risks with greater awareness. Compromises are really out of the question now, I think. They would require a denial of your own inner reality. It is time for you to stand your ground and remain true to your energies unconditionally. Now, being true to yourself includes standing up for your own truth, even in the face of immense resistance. Trust your power. In this present situation, you must assert yourself at all costs. Are you ready to accept all the consequences? Become aware of whatever fears have prevented you until now from asserting yourself. And say this to yourself: I express my own reality openly and honestly. And that courage which you then come to overcome things that you are originally concerned about. You see, action cures all problems. Well, this is bringing about, interestingly for you, harmonious change. And here we have the planet of Jupiter in Capricorn. The first decade of Capricorn, the 23rd of December to the 2nd of January. Well, Jupiter in Capricorn, well, this is bringing about change and transformation. Now, there's a huge snake here, isn't there? This snake has on it it forms the infinity symbol, which is sometimes called the lemonscape. This signifies perpetual change. The snake encloses two discs, doesn't it? The Chinese yin-yang symbols, symbols of balance and harmony. Now, they turn in opposite direction. This one turns this way, and that one turns that way. And they contain within them the triangles, which are the ancient alchemical symbols, and they're painted in the four colors of the elements: red for fire, blue for water, yellow for air, and green for earth. Now, the transformation touches all the realms of being. Now, Jupiter, the planet symbolizing luck and expansion, indicates that the change will bring luck and enrich your life. You see, good things come to those who make the decision to do things, not recklessly, but with having sat back and thought about it. Now, the new is going to bring more stability and security with you. Change is always necessary when the old falls out of equilibrium. Change shakes you and wakes you up. Now, the crown on the snake's head is a symbol of wakefulness. The violet color, the color of the warrior, shows that new energies will be drawn from the transformation. The only permanent thing in life is impermanence. The only certainty is uncertainty. I also think that you're going to have a lot of growth through change here, a lot of multitasking, quite a heavy workload. You'll be enjoying your work, though, which is a good thing. And a welcome change is here as you move into a better phase in your life. Now, there's nothing financially or materially set in concrete at the moment, so there is harmony here. But this does remind you to take care that your day-to-day affairs are in order. Look, I know it's a bit of a drag, but getting on top of bills and getting groceries bought and things like that, they're necessary to do. Do you know, your life is subject to constant change, and that allows you to grow, extending and expanding you, and ultimately enriching you. Give yourself up to the transformation with trust. What internal or external changes are going on in your life? Where are you still clinging? Say to yourself, I trust in the harmony of my life and in the flow of my life. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. And then we go to the Magician. And this shows you that you have everything that you need to move forward with your life. Look, do you know, sometimes you just have to believe in yourself. There's a good chance that all you've ever been told or made to feel in your life so far is that you can't do anything. that every time you even dared to dream that your life could be better, you were shot down or laughed at, made to feel small, made to feel useless, made to feel like an idiot for even thinking you could be more. Now, all of us, just as we thought something was in reach, have had a massive shadow of doubt thrown on us, normally by someone who's close to us, and it hurts. And then you've thought of the pain to get what you want, and your brain avoids it. Well, these cards are telling you that this shadow of doubt, which you had here, is something that you have overcome, and now you have things to do. This is a great card, this Magician card, and let's have a look at some of the things that are on it. First of all, here there's a Hebrew letter, and that means house, so it's about building. And the planetary attribution, which I agree with, is that of Mercury. Now, you'll notice that the Magus is actually quite androgynous, so it means both male and female, and he's naked. Now, he juggles 8 objects. The first 4 represent the 4 elements: fire, water, air, and earth. Here's fire, here's water, the air is this sword, and the earth is this disc. Now, within the disc there is an 8-pointed star, and I have a mystical association with the number 8 with the planet of Mercury. So that's reinforced there, which is talking about the great communication skills that you have going on for you. Now, the winged egg that you see, this Orphic egg that's there, that's spirit, the 5th element, known as the Orphic egg. And it also appears in the Lover's card. It represents the nothingness out of which everything is born. Thus, you have the opposites of the Magus representing manifestation, and the Orphic egg, the formlessness and potential of spirit. Now, up here there is a papyrus, I suppose, a piece of paper, and a stylus, or what today we call a pen. The Magus is someone who's able to communicate. This is the wand of double power that's there, which, well, I won't go into all the reasons for that, but it's very, very good. And it's a close association here also with that of the sun, because you just might be able to make out the sun breaking through down there. Now, the caduceus itself. Now, notice that this column goes all the way through and up to the back. The caduceus is really all about fertility, and hence the birth of new things. And this is very much applied in this card here. The circle is the eye of Horus. The yellow outline of the caduceus represents the female aspect. It also represents the dove of Isis, and also the phallus. The lemons, the infinity symbol, which turns up here again in the snake, represents the infinite nature of the source of the divine, and it stretches down through his feet, all the way down through there. In fact, you can see through here, unbroken by these patterns of creation, the actual spirit of the divine. So the divine is both the reason for the creation, but also transcends it. This ape down here, look, in a nutshell, I would say that this represents, would I say truth or falsehood? It depends on the person and the information and the personality of the person that's imparting the information. Down here he has the wings of Hermes, or of Mercury as well, as you would expect. So just to summarize that, he's represented by the Greek god Mercury and the messenger with wings of pure spirit. Now, Mercury bears energy which spreads and radiates from him, and this card represents the will, wisdom, and word through which the world was created, and your ability to create what you want with the things that you have. He's balancing with great skill on top of a surfboard-shaped stand and juggles with those different tools. He's a genius at using all the possibilities available to him. Now, in his duality, he stands for truth and falsehood. He brings all set ideas and judgments into question, which often make him appear in a questionable light himself. But as a creative creature, he knows no conscience. He uses all tools, all methods to arrive at his goal. Now, the temptation to misuse talent is great, and his ability and skill lend him superiority and power. And he moves on the narrow border between white and black magic. This means he needs constant self-examination. He can use his talents in a self-seeking manner or in the service of love and light. So you have, I think, at this time, at your disposal, brilliant capabilities which you should share with other people. Now, one important task is to find or create the proper surroundings for your activities. In what area lie your talents? Concentrate on what you're good at. With what methods and in what surroundings can you pass them on or share them with others? Visualize your ideal area of activity. Describe it in one sentence and say this to yourself. I create magic when I use my inherent gifts and talents. I honor the resources of skilled communication which are within me. The full expression of my creative potential fulfills me and makes me happy and satisfied. What a fantastic story and spread of cards for you this month. Great month. Good job, you. Well, I'm sure you'll agree with me that this is a very, very interesting deck, isn't it? The Thoth deck, and it provides an unusual sort of a reading, different to the types that you might see before. Certainly the imagery is unlike anything that you see in other decks. But anyway, next time, of course, we will be using another deck because I do change them each month, as you know. So until I see you again, remember one thing, and one thing is this, and it is that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.